It is Super Tuesday. Some people are busy working. We're just busy trying to find the dumbest thing you've heard today. Here we go.
And we heard from Michelle Obama's staff today that she officially is not running for president. She is supporting President Biden and Kamala Harris. You've said maybe there's another shoe to drop in the Democratic Party. You still think that's true?
I'm so glad you asked me that question, Brett, because if you read between the lines, she's not saying she wouldn't agree to be drafted at the convention in Chicago, her hometown. She's saying she's not running for president. So there is a chance.
This particular clown, Fruitcake, has just won the race to be the Republican candidate to be governor of South Carolina. And you're thinking, he wears a red tie, he wears a blue suit. Who's he trying to be, like a 2.4 version of? Correct, lumpy guy himself. This guy is Trump wrapped up in a pile of pigeon poo.
NBC News can now project that in the Democratic gubernatorial primary in North Carolina, the projected winner is the state's current Attorney General Josh Stein. So with Josh Stein as the projected nominee of the Democratic Party and Mark Robinson as the projected nominee of the Republican Party in that North Carolina governor's race, there are two big governor's races this year that are going to be in swing states, or roughly swing states. They are in North Carolina and in New Hampshire.
Transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth. And if you don't like it that I called it filth, come see me and I'll explain it to you.
Honestly believe, Chris, that is what the left is doing with the Harvey Weinsteins, the Bill Cosbys, the Matt Lauers. They have picked out an elite group of people that have committed these so-called sexual crimes or whatever kind of crimes they've committed or offenses, and they have thrown those people underneath the bus, eating their own, to breed a spirit of fear in people, so people will be afraid to stand up and speak up and get involved, because they want people to say, they know everybody's got something in their past. Everybody's sins come short of the glory of God. They know that.
They're trying to destroy our resolve and our will and trying to make us afraid to stand up and speak the truth. Don't let it happen, folks. Look at this stuff for what it is. This thing that they did with Kevin Hart, and this thing all the way back, like I said, the Harvey Weinstein, the Bill Cosbys, all of them. It's all part of that same plot.
Another result coming in, Joe Biden projected to win Tennessee. One of my favourite people, just to crunch all the data, explain the analysis to a Brit from the outside like me looking in, is Steve KORNACKI.
Keep in mind here, because we've talked about how well Haley has done in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, in Virginia tonight outside Washington, D.C., it looks like, in affluent suburbs. But there are affluent suburbs on the map in this country that are not politically as moderate or liberal as some of, especially within Republican politics, as some of those places Haley's done well. These are two very big examples. Trump is getting 75% of the vote in what I believe is the wealthiest county in Texas. Trump is getting 74% in what I believe is the second or third wealthiest county in Texas tonight. And again, these are suburbs, immediate suburbs of some major cities here. Dallas, Fort Worth, in the case of Rockland, Rockwall, and the Fort Bend, Houston. So a little difference here in Texas. And again, that's why Texas, while it is an open primary, and while they do give out most of their delegates by congressional district, you know, on paper, these are the kinds of locations where Haley, if you had just looked at the demographics and you looked at the previous results, you'd say, all right, some ripe areas for her. The ripe areas in Texas aren't doing for her so far what they've done in some of the other states.
More Nikki Haley in a moment. I think Trump does have a bit of a problem with, how should we say, more educated Republican voters. But Arkansas has gone to Trump, as has, that's for the Republicans. And on the Democratic side, President Biden has easily won that. Right. Back to Nikki Haley. Nicole Wallace has got a very interesting take on it all.
And 2 points on her evolution, which the party knew. She was first introduced as a Trump appointee.
Yeah.
And so she did have to sort of evolve that story over time. And look, no one's sitting here saying, oh, my gosh, she's sweeping tonight. But she did better than every other candidate, including those with buzz and money like DeSantis. So I think she did, with the team around her, figure out, let's tell this story of how you slowly over time lost faith with the person that you served, which is how people met you.
Which let me say it's ludicrous, because the people that served with him were the ones that wanted to use the 25th Amendment.
Right.
It's like the most nonsensical argument you could ever make, because all of the reporting about the 25th Amendment was all sourced back to Trump's own cabinet, and she was in those rooms.
And she was there.
It's an asinine argument, but it is what she argued.
It's what she presented.
To Lawrence's point, it is gentle, right? Like, what did she say?
Yeah.
She was like, he was the right president for the time.
Yeah.
But now, I think, man's a lunatic and crazy, he can't be there anymore. He was like saying, there's nothing wrong with you. You were right to pick him before. I was right to serve him before. But now, looking ahead to a 2024 election, of course you wouldn't pick that old man. And that's an on-ramp, right?
On that question of resources and advertising, right now, as it appears, the Biden re-election campaign better positioned than the Trump campaign.
Far better, far better. Hundreds of millions of dollars raised. Plans for big fundraisers for the rest of this month, including one in New York with former Presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. That's not only symbolic, but probably going to raise them, somewhere close to 8 figures potentially that night.
You said it's been coming in quite slow.
Yeah, we are starting. It's picking up, and if you're looking for any outcome suspense in the Republican side tonight, it is in Vermont. Right now, Haley has just taken the lead in the statewide tally. She leads Trump by 3 votes statewide right now.
3.
And and that is we're more than a quarter of the vote is in. You see, it's about less than 20,000 votes. That's more than a quarter of the vote. But we were talking about how Haley was going to need to start getting a pad in the Burlington area here, and starting to get. This is Colchester. This is a pretty good size by Vermont standards town just outside Burlington. And you see Haley winning it by 12 points. You go to Essex next door. Again, it's decent size by Vermont standards. Haley winning that. You still have the city of Burlington itself right there. You have South Burlington. Again, you combine those two. That's going to be the biggest single kind of vote center tonight. It's not huge, but it's going to be, you expect it to be Haley, and it's a question of how much. She's still waiting on Montpelier as well. She's still waiting on Rutland. Those are going to be her big opportunities to pad the lead. But the other thing to note, too, this is a winnable state for Haley right now. Maybe the only winnable one for her on the map tonight, although we'll see what happens in Mass, Colorado, maybe Minnesota. But the other thing is, we said this is winner take all with these delegates, unless both candidates finish under 50% of the vote. And I wasn't sure that would come into play tonight, but if we start having a race as more votes come in that looks like this, because like Marco Rubio's name's still on the ballot getting a few votes, other names getting a scattering of votes, if they both land under 50, then these are divvied up proportionally. So,
ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves for a race featuring a motley crew of desperate losers and shameless con artists. It's a spectacle so astonishingly lacking in integrity that you won't believe your eyes. And off they go, with Nikki the diplomatic Gillette and Haley prancing around like a phony diplomat who can't even negotiate a discount at the local market. But wait, here comes former guy Trump desperately trying to relive past glories and making promises that only a true master of deception could conjure up. Will this towering ego get him across the finish line? Chris the bridge to know where Christie is lagging behind. His Two-Face is still stuck in the traffic of his own failed political career. And Pensive Pence remains as indecisive as ever, pondering if he should even be in this race. But lo and behold, a hold it says to the Arkansas alibi. Hutchinson desperately clinging to his southern charm, hoping to distract you from his questionable track record and boring ass of bullshit. Meanwhile, Ron the catastrophic clown, DeSantis is causing pandemonium at every turn, proving that being an utter disaster can still gain you supporters in the world of politics. Will he woke off before the final furlong? Then there's Tim Nice but deceptive Scott the slick talker, who's more concerned with appearances than substance, willing to spin any tale that'll get him a vote. And former guy Trump, of course, reappears with his endless stream of falsehoods like a snake oil salesman hawking miracle cures. But hold on to your sanity, folks, because here comes Vivek, the vexing visionary Ramaswamy, Cupid's stunt horse in this race of charlatans. He's peddling innovation and fresh ideas like a true snake oil salesman. And who knows what kind of bizarre venture he'll announce before the race is over. As they stumble toward the finish line, who is going to be the front runner to appear Fox Daily pushing out lies and fears, the crowd can hardly contain their disbelief. It's a spectacle like no other, a parade of desperate losers and shameless liars vying for your attention and, more importantly, your vote, then instantly forgetting you exist. So we need someone? Anyone I can't spot one winning? And there it is, folks. Tim Nice but deceptive Scott manages to cross the finish line last, leaving in front a trail of half-truths and empty promises. The crowd is a mixture of confusion and apathy, and the laughter in the stadium is tinged with a heavy dose of irony. What a horse race. What a cast of characters. We hope you enjoyed this absurd and bewildering journey through the world of political deception.